Hi, Tony Twist. Welcome back to Camp K9. So, I've not done a video for a little while, mainly because growing in the garden this year has been a bit like trying to watch paint dry. Not a huge amount has been growing, to be honest. Although, I mean, the flowers have been doing really well. First year of doing flowers, so I'm quite pleased with that. Let's see if I can get you an angle. So, I look really odd there. So the garden itself is looking pretty good. This is looking a bit bare behind me now because the peas, which has been, I have to say, the best crop I have ever grown. I am really pleased about that. The peas have been going amazing. So that I'm really pleased with. But now I've had to remove some of them. They've been on their way out. And that's freeing up some space for the beans that are growing over there now and some of the squash. But the squash has been so slow this year. Everything has been really slow this year. I've had a few tomatoes, I've had a couple of courgettes, I've had a few small squash, a few small onions, tons and tons of peas. The peas and the few tomatoes have kept me insane. Have kept me sane in an insane world of gardening. I'm just going to wander you around a little bit now. We'll have a look and see what we have got going in the garden. So the boats, as you can see, are looking, as you can see, let me turn around so you can see, the boats are looking pretty full, which is wonderful. And there are a load, and we have a client just turned up, so I'm going to put you on pause for a sec. Okay, that's slowly gone back home. So where was I? Showing you around. Okay, so let's have a look at the tomatoes in the boats first of all. So these guys are just beginning to turn. There are hundreds and thousands, and there are beginning to be hundreds and thousands on here, which is absolutely wonderful. I've had some delicious yellow tomatoes off of here, but right now it's definitely challenged for noisy neighbours. Challenged for I don't think there's enough sun at the moment. These tomatoes just aren't ripening fast enough for me. These are meant to be our slices, and they're very slow at growing, and that I thought was a black tomato. Maybe it's still yet to go. These are the white ones, and oh boy do they taste good. They're just like sweeties. I come out here every day going, is one ready? Is the next one ready? I'll definitely be planting more of those next year. I'm doing a better job at pruning them, so hopefully they'll become more productive. These, there's some general, that was volunteer one over there. More of the white ones over here, and they are growing. There's plenty on the bush. I just need them to ripen. I mean, these guys are not far off, but they're not quite there yet. This one's very, very close, but not quite there. These are my yellow ones. My yellow one's much, much slower. I probably need to come out here and do some pruning, and maybe some additional fertilizer might help. And this hundreds and thousands bush is struggling. So yeah, I think it might be time for another fertilizer. I've just spotted something. Hold on. So the cat was chasing something over here, and it's this little guy here. I'm not going to touch him. All I can say is at least he's over here and not on my plants. I have to say that the nasturtium have been absolutely amazing oh look, he's come back. Well, at least it's not a little baby bunny rabbit. So the nasturtium have been incredible at keeping away the caterpillars from the plants this year. I'm definitely going with that again next year. Literally, I can walk by and pick them. We'll go and have a look. Okay, so this area here is meant to be full of cucumbers, and it's not. The cucumbers are truly behind this year. But what has been happening is that all these nasturtiums have been absolutely covered with little stripy caterpillars, which I am trying to find for you now. Wow, okay, that's probably the most I've seen on one leaf going, and they're tiny little ones. So we'll just pop that leaf off and we'll take it somewhere else. And this is kind of what we've been up to. So on here I can see there is a little, there we go. So we'll take him over. I can spot another one. There we go. So all I can say is I did this yesterday and I got an awful lot off, so I don't think there's going to be too many. Oh, it's catching the underneath of them. There we go. There. Slippery little buggers. Yeah, spot them from underneath. It's a lot easier. But we'll just go and give those to the chickens. They're not that excited, I've got to say, over caterpillars. Maybe they do when I go, but a lot of the other things that I throw at them, they come running for them. Just whilst I'm over here, I might as well show you. I've tweaked the layout that they've got. So behind, actually got access along behind here because that's where my composting is. And then I opened up the wood pile for them. Some of that wood was quite damp and lying on the ground, so tossed it over. It revealed some absolutely delicious grubs for them. They loved it. So I'm drying out the wood for processing at the moment and tossing it each day and getting grubs out for them. And then they've got this run all the way down to this fence here, and because it's the weekend and the doggy daycare is closed at the moment, we have opened up the fence here, which gives them full access through to the paddock out the back as well. And they do go up there and they wander around in the much longer grass up there, and then they come back down again. But they don't really like going too far from where their coop is. So, but they have got a nice big area now. So, when it's solidly, you can see the fence running around here. To there. And then they did have access to my vegetable garden. They were coming around with me and they were digging around in the ground, and they weren't doing too much damage, so I wasn't too bothered about them coming around with me, and I was happy for them to have a bit of a good old rummage through there. Then they found the cabbages, the cauliflower and the Brussels sprouts, and those leaves are just too tempting for them, so I've had to shut them back out of the vegetable garden again. So I have to show you the most exciting thing. We have a cucumber. The only thing is I think it's a pickling cucumber. I must have planted the wrong species. It's really got sharp bits on it. So probably more of a gherkin. Oh, my luck with cucumbers this year is just so totally out of it. So that is one species that I've got growing, but I have got 3 or 4 species in here. But I don't have anything else to show you. They're just not pretty. Oh, this must be the same species, because if you look in there, it's got a tiny little one there. Here, nothing yet. Cucamelons seem to be going in the wrong direction. Guys, you are not going to be able to grow if you're right under there. You need some sun. Come out here. If I zip over here, there you go, one little cucamelon that's growing, and I believe this is probably the same species of cucumber again. These were the ones that I bought in because mine hopelessly failed. This one is mine. Oh no, this one isn't mine. There you go. Oh, and he's got a friend on there. Yep, there we go. Our first 2 cucumbers and a cucamelon, but they're way off, way off being harvested yet. But there you go. At least that's something. So I have to say that this is one of the squashes that I am desperately waiting to produce something. It was a honey variety, so it should be sweeter than any of the others, and it's still not growing. And there's even possibly signs of powdery mildew in here, so I may lose that completely. I may not get anything off of that, which is going to be a real shame. These are miscellaneous tomato plants that I just ran out of space of and bung them in pots, and the same with this aubergine that's not really doing anything. These 2 aubergines here have had flowers on them, so I'm really hoping that they might come up with some fruit. Oh, there's another flower on there, possibly another flower coming through there, so fingers crossed for the aubergine. Never grown it before, haven't a clue whether it's going to do any well. That's really bad English. So generally speaking, I normally have absolutely tons of zucchini and courgette, and this year it's been pretty pathetic. I have gone into the squashes this year as well, and I've had a few pâté pan, which are nice tasting, and uchi curry, which was really lovely and sweet, and I forget the name of it. It's round and yellow, whereas the uchi curry is round and orange. The other one is round and yellow. No, can't remember the name of it. But I've had a couple off of this run here, but generally speaking, I'm not going to do the straw bale bits again. Definitely not in the way that I did it this year anyway. It didn't work. I then went with the pots on top of them. That didn't really work. They need to get their roots into the ground, so next year I'll make sure I do that. In the past, I have simply put a tire on the floor, on the ground, filled it with some compost and planted in there, and they have done so well. So that's my plan for next year, going back to what I know before. So here we have, which one is this? Oh, this one is a honey boat. This one is a honey boat. Ooh, so I'm excited to try this. That's looking good. And this is Golden Grill courgette. Now this is actually one that I didn't think was going to cope. You can get off there, you horrible thing. I didn't think this one was going to cope. The ones that I planted directly into the straw bales all basically died away to absolutely nothing, and somehow this one has come back to life and is actually doing really well. We've got probably the best yield of courgette on the plants, so that's pretty good going for that poor plant that pretty much died. This courgette plant here was one of the backup plants. Hasn't got anything on it now, but I did harvest a huge courgette off of it earlier on this week. And this courgette plant, this is going to be ready to come. That looks good. And that looks good. I think we might have a couple more growing on there. So they're looking pretty good. And the other courgette plants, this one gave me a gorgeous courgette in the week. Oh, something has been having that. Right, that can go to the chickens. Yep, can't see anything else on that one yet. And I can't see anything on this one yet. But I think they'll come up with something. Definitely. This one possibly. But I have a feeling that maybe this one, or this one might do. You never know. They might spring. This was pretty much where that other one was. You know, the one that was on the straw bale. That's pretty much what that one was down to. And I gave up on it, and I just sort of thought, I'll come back to that area and I'll deal with it when I've got time. And then I came over and I was just drawn by the yellow. You can see it from here. The yellow draws you in. And I thought, oh, what's that? And then I realised that it was actually coming back to life. So don't always give up with your plants. I did, however, have to give up with my dill and my chevril. Turnips. Oh, I'm tripping over blackberry, thornless blackberry shoot there. More turnip here as well. I had to dig those out and dig it over this week because they're just all blown and they weren't going to go anywhere, and I've got to start planning my fall garden. So where there's space, I'm going to be planting next. So it's going to be an exciting project. I haven't quite got my head around what I'm going to plant yet. No, I'm not entirely sure, but we'll get there. We'll figure that out. So, do I have anything else to show you apart from bees? Now, this one's a bumblebee, as you can tell by its furriness and its beautiful colours. I'm not sure if you caught that before it flew off across to the next flower. There are honeybees, whole batches of honeybees. Sorry, not batches. Hives just across the road. And last year we were inundated with them. It was such a hot year that they were all coming over to us for water. The giant dog paddling pool in the evening got covered in bees that were looking for a drink. We had absolutely tons of bees over here. This year I have barely seen a bee, and they say that they've got 80 hives over there. I'm not so sure about that. Well, if they are, they're just all drawn to go in a different direction than this direction. But that's why I planted all the flowers. So clearly I planted the wrong damn flowers this year. But I think that's quite colourful. If you were a bee, wouldn't you be drawn into this colourful garden? I'm going to have to plant something else. I've got to show you this. So, I mean, the petunias, they do look lovely. They were meant to be cascading down. That's the variety that I thought I had bought. Therefore, it would leave plenty of space for the sun to reach the plants that were going to be providing us with fruit. I have to show you this. Look, isn't this just beautiful? There's another one over there. Just some gorgeous flowers and some gorgeous plants in here this year. I've just never done the flowers before. It's always been vegetables that I've been trying my hand at. And this year I thought, right, grow all the things. And that includes some flowers. And a fourth attempt at growing coriander that failed, but we're going to plant some more. That's that is definitely on my full list. Plant more coriander. These are my next lot of potatoes. So I've harvested one lot, and that lot over there are ready to harvest, and those are definitely ready to harvest. These have been the new ones that have gone in the last month, so they'll give me a succession. It does look like something might be chomping away at this. Not that I can see it, obviously. Normally you can see the big blighters. Can't see anything. Maybe it's... Oh. Hopefully I'll find it. So yeah, we've had so many peas. It's been wonderful. Last time I tried doing peas, absolute failure. And now literally we just have the last few plants on the arches here that I need to harvest this week and then pull them down, and that will hopefully give room for I've got to do this very, very carefully because I have a bean that is growing up here, and this is a bean here as well. Let's just try and see if we can train you to come back through there. You're going to do that for me and bring you this way. Oh crap, I really shouldn't do this while carrying a camera. It does not work. But it's really been doing well up here. Some not so much. I planted them all the way around. Oh, this one's working his way up. It's coming up. But I did plant beans all the way along, and hardly any of them. There is evidence that something ate this one. This one has only got so far and hasn't got any further. And then this is oh, look at that. Can we have you? I like them when they're young. There we go. Look at that little squash. That's beautiful. That's a yellow bird. And she's been really producing quite a lot, which is absolutely wonderful. And they say they love growing with beans. So here we go. We've got another bean growing up behind here. I think that's the enormous variety. This is, I think, the purple bean variety. This, they were meant to be squashes that grew up trellises, and clearly I made a mistake here. But this one here, this one's doing really well growing up. But I'm going to have to make sure it keeps going up in the right direction. I learnt my mistake from the bean. I won't touch that now. I'll do that later. So these peas are on their last legs. They can all get pulled out. There's a bean growing through here, so I'm going to have to be very, very careful. It's wrapping itself around that pea. So I want it wrapping itself round the fence, not the pea. But we'll figure that out. Oh, look, there's a lovely squash there. So this squash is actually growing up. It's reached about here now. Oh, there's the bean. Oh no, is that a pea? Yeah, that's a pea. That's a young pea. That must have found its way up and through at a later date. The corn, I failed with the corn again. I think I'm going to have to plant in a different way next year, because this way clearly is not working. The way I did it last year didn't work either, so I will figure that out. I had some butternut squash plants in the back here, and they pretty much died. And then in the last 2 weeks, they've come back. They haven't actually produced any fruit yet, but they are growing into magnificent plants. So hopefully they will produce something. I'm gonna have to come in looking for these pests, definitely. They haven't got to everything, but I can tell you one thing, these were not eaten by bugs, these were eaten by the chickens. So, as were these ones here, which is why this cage is around here. This is actually a pen that I picked up from a client's house. I saw it, I don't know if you can get a good view from there. There we go. I saw it in their back garden, and I questioned them what it was, what they used it for. And they used to have chickens, and this was part of their run. They didn't want it anymore, so it came in my direction. Love it when something like that happens. Really do. So I thought, right, okay, I'm hopefully introducing a couple more chickens to my flock. This will be some way that I can do it. Then I realised that the chickens were eating my cauliflower, which I don't think is actually going to turn into anything this year anyway. And so I used it to cover them. The cauliflower there, that's basically had it. But I didn't want them getting to my Brussels, which they started on. So I thought, great, I'll cover it with this. It'll be nice and safe in there. So this I've dug out. These were turnips and spinach that blew, and at the end here was some lettuce that blew, and I've just planted some. This is meant to be Technicolor. This is meant to be Technicolor spinach according to the plant pot that I planted it in, but it doesn't look like it's Technicolor spinach. This is tree spinach. This I've tasted as well, and this tastes really good. So I might actually put that on the menu for tonight. These are my carrots. I've been harvesting some of these carrots. They were way too close to each other. They are tiny little things. So I'm going to do the cornflower trick when I plant my next ones. I'm trying to figure out how I went wrong, where I went wrong, and the cornflower trick seems to be a really good idea. These are my onions. They're tiny, weeny little onions. I was picking the odd one, and I was expecting them to grow big, but they're beginning to flop over already, and they're still very, very tiny. These ones here are my reds. These haven't started to flop, so I'm going to not touch them at all. Maybe it was my touching of these, because I kept pulling out the odd one to eat, so maybe that's why. Right. Anything else I need to show you? My little baby corn. I'm going backwards. I'm not very good at doing this, am I? The baby corn. So they're looking healthy. Here they are. They're either side of my gate. So they're looking healthy, but they're not producing yet. So I've not grown it before, and I've not read the instructions, so I can't remember when they're meant to actually be producing. My apple tree is beginning to have some larger fruit on it here, and my blueberries are finally, look at them. The net saved them definitely, because I had white currants on that, and I had black currants on that and red currants on that, and the birds have had them. So next year I'm going to do better at that. This is my raspberry bush. I don't think it's going to do much this year, maybe next year. And this is my thornless blackberry bush, and it is beginning to grow blackberries on it. But over in that far corner of the garden over there is a wild blackberry bush that's coming over from next door, and I keep meaning to chop it down, but it's just produced some absolutely beautiful, tasty blackberries. I didn't even notice it. I was thinking, what are the chickens doing over there in the corner? Why are they all around the corner? It's like drooped down to the ground, and it's got a load of berries on it. so they're busy eating away at the berries. So I went and joined them, and I picked from higher up. So there you go. Wow, half an hour's of video. I hope you made it to the end and stuck with me through all of that. It's been a long time since I've seen you guys, and I hope you're all keeping well and happy planting, and I'll see you soon. Bye.